Am I the a-hole for forcing my parents to keep disowning my half-brother? My parents never got along with me, 21 male. They clearly favored my half-brother Junior, 23 male. My dad was especially harsh since I wasn't what he considered an ideal son. My grandparents started a fairly successful small HVAC business in our area, and my father has a job there but no real power, with the actual business ownership belonging to a trust. My grandfather didn't trust my father with financial decisions. 3 years ago, my dad found some old diaries my mom had, and in them, she detailed an affair that went on until the affair partner died 12 years ago in a car wreck. They argued for days, precisely because the trust that owns the business will be going to only biological grandchildren. My grandfather hated my mom and suspected her of fooling around. My parents agreed to reconcile if Junior and I took DNA tests. Both Junior and my dad were sure I would not biologically be related, and they would get to kick the bastard out. Well, 3 years ago we went to the lab, went to a lawyer's office, and the tests came in. I was my father's son. Junior was not. What's more is the house we live in was also to go to only biological grandchildren, and my birthday was coming up. My father was subdued on the drive home, but Junior was still mouthy. My father, to his credit, tried to mend fences that night. He looked awful. He cried. He begged for forgiveness. He asked what he could do to start making things up. I said, kick the bastard out. My parents begged, pleaded for me to try anything but that. Set up family counseling, get us fixed. I wouldn't budge. I pointed out they were fully ready to kick me out that night if I wasn't my father's son. My father kicked Junior out that night, but he was doing it full of tears. I must confess, my relationship with my parents did not get better. My father acts like a broken man, and my mother is just silent. Honestly, they should have divorced long ago, but they don't argue anymore. I started working at the family business, going to college on the side. My parents are outright timid around me now. My father would try to spend time with me, but I brush him off. Lately, they would both ask if I was willing to have the three of us contact Junior and have all of us mend fences. I keep refusing and ask, if it was me, would you even be asking? My mentor at my grandfather's business knows the situation and has asked me if I'm doing this because I want to hurt them or if I want to avoid being hurt. Now for the top comments. Your mentor is wise, not the a-hole for feeling how you feel. Think about what your mentor is asking. Is the decision to keep Junior out of the family helping you feel any better? Do you think bringing him back into the fold will change how your parents view you or feel about him? There's much to consider. I wish you well. Sounds to me like Grandpa knew exactly what was going to happen and cut dear old Dad and Junior off at the knees. Not the a-hole, but I think you're going about it the wrong way. There should be no credit to your father. The only reason he tried to rebuild a relationship with you right away is because he found out you are their meal ticket. I can't even imagine the heartache you must have grown up with what that car ride to the clinic before you knew the truth must have felt like. The fear of thinking you were about to be kicked out of the only family you have known. My advice to you is to get therapy. Accept that your birth family is never going to be what you want them to be. You already grew up and they already messed up your childhood. Figure out what you want for your life and pursue that. Remember, you owe them nothing. The business and the house belong to your grandparents and now you. Put yourself first, since they never bothered to do that for you. Your parents suck, and if you decided to go no contact with them, that would be 100% justified. You're right, when they were talking about throwing the bastard out, they were definitely talking about you, if you turned out to not be their biological child. Quite frankly, after the DNA test, that should have been the moment that you decided to cut them off and go on with your life. In the future, since you were still young and not to the position to move out just yet, I can even see why you were feeling vindictive at a time and demanded that they do to your brother what you knew they were going to do to you. Maybe a part of you thought that your relationship would get better if he weren't around. However, it's been 3 years since then, and you can see that it hasn't. There is really no reason for you to still be demanding that they cut off your brother because it hasn't changed anything. You don't even want a relationship with them because when they try, you brush them off. So at this point, you're just forcing them to keep your brother away for revenge. Like your mentor said, are you doing this to hurt them or to keep yourself from being hurt? Because regardless, you're receiving both outcomes. You don't have a good relationship with your parents, even without him, and they're hurting. It's not like Junior not being around has improved your life or your connection with your parents. It seems like things have just largely remained the same between you three, besides your parents' marriage being in shambles. Really sit down and ask yourself, what do I want from my parents? It could be an apology, it could be a fresh start, it could be them truly owning up to how poorly they treated you. It could be them completely exiting your life or more, but truly ask yourself that. Then think about if your demands make sense to you afterwards. I just truly don't understand the point in having leverage over your parents and using it to not improve your relationship and to just keep things the way that they were. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not going out to eat to celebrate my brother's wedding when I wasn't even invited to his wedding? I'm 19 male. My brother got married exactly 16 days ago, but I wasn't invited because of my age. His wife decided it would be inappropriate to have anyone under 21 at their wedding, since they would be serving alcohol and didn't want any minors to get drunk at their wedding. I thought this was a BS excuse, but that's what they told me, and that's what they're sticking to. I was 18 when they told me, and I was kind of hurt by this, because I didn't see why I had to be uninvited. It's not like I have an alcohol addiction. I drink sometimes, but that's a rarity. I asked them to reconsider a couple of times, and they refused every time. I could tell they were getting aggravated after a while, so I just stopped complaining and stopped caring about their wedding in general. Last Saturday, my brother wanted everyone in our family to go out and eat with him to celebrate their wedding. I refused to go. When asked why, I gave everyone the same answer. I didn't see the need to celebrate something I wasn't even invited to. At the time, my parents didn't say much and kind of respected my decision, until my brother and his wife got upset at dinner when they realized I wasn't there. I had already told them I wasn't going to go, so I have no idea why they expected me to show up. After the dinner, my brother and his wife both texted me, saying they were upset that I couldn't spare some time so the whole family could be there to celebrate with them. My parents are trying to remain neutral, but I think they believe I'm wrong. They told me they see why I didn't go, but that it wouldn't have hurt me to go and celebrate with my brother, especially since I wasn't the only one not invited on our side. They were referring to my cousins, 13 female and 15 male. They did go to the dinner, but they didn't really have a choice in whether they wanted to or not. I also wasn't the only one who didn't attend. I just don't think they think my reasons weren't valid enough. Sorry, I understood the celebration was for family, and I am apparently too young to be included in your family. Besides, the restaurant served alcohol, and of course you can't possibly allow a minor in a place that serves alcohol, lest I completely lose control and drink myself silly, as I have never done in my life even without your supervision. Not a-hole. Lol, this should be the reply. They serve alcohol, and out of respect for your wife and her concerns of a 19-year-old drinking, I felt it best I don't come. Turn it back on them. And in the future, don't let them drop their spawn on him to babysit because he is family. Sorry, I can't babysit. I've got alcohol in my house and your children are younger than 21. You know how it is. Not a-hole. It was rude, hurtful, and silly of them to not invite you. I also think it's kind of ridiculous that they had a follow-up dinner to celebrate their wedding and demanded everybody to attend. Who does that? Their actual wedding and reception weren't enough? I feel like they need to be the center of attention all the time. Are your brother or sister-in-laws very jealous and competitive with you? Their behavior is so weird. My relationship with my brother was just normal. We weren't exactly best friends growing up, but I would go to him with a lot of my problems, and he always listened. He made effort to show up for my important events, and took me out when I was younger, so we were close in that way. I think he's still mad at me though, so I'm not sure about that now. Our age gap definitely played a role in how close we were. As for his fiancé, our relationship is also normal, I guess. We do not talk much, but it's not that awkward or anything. When she's around, we can hold a conversation, but we don't go out of our way to reach out to each other. Next story. Am I the a-hole for uninviting my adoptive brothers from my wedding after they said they don't see me as family? I'm a 32-year-old man and I'm getting married to my longtime girlfriend soon. What should be one of the happiest moments of my life has turned into a heartbreaking ordeal because of the deepening rift in my family. To give you some background, I'm my parents' biological son, and when I was 12, they adopted 2 boys who were biological siblings. Jack, who was 8, and Liam, who was 5. From the very beginning, it was clear that things were going to be tough. Jack came with severe behavioral issues due to some intense trauma. I'll spare the details, but it was significant. I tried my hardest to be understanding, but living with him was nothing short of exhausting. His outbursts were constant, and I often felt like I was walking in eggshells, terrified of setting him off. As we grew older, I continued to try to be there for Jack, despite everything. A few years ago, Jack fell into a devastating drug addiction. I stood by him through his darkest moments, supporting him through rehab and doing everything I could to help him get back on his feet. It was draining and heartbreaking, but I did it because I loved him and believed that despite our challenges, we were still brothers. Liam, on the other hand, was always easier to get along with, and I formed a closer bond with him. But even so, I always felt like an outsider. Jack and Liam's bond as biological siblings was undeniable, and I never quite felt like I was truly a part of it. It was like I was always on the edge, looking in, trying to be included but never fully accepted. The situation came to a head recently at a Sunday dinner at my parents' house. My son was working on his summer homework, which involved creating a family tree. He innocently asked Jack if he wanted to be included, and Jack just flat out said no. He didn't want to be a part of it because, in his exact words, we're not real brothers. He said it so casually, like it was the most obvious thing in the world, with no regard for how it would cut me to the core. I was utterly stunned, but what shattered me even more was that Liam, who I've always felt closer to, just sat there in silence. He didn't say a word. He didn't defend me or even acknowledge how hurtful Jack's words were. He just let it happen. I've tried so hard to be supportive of both of them, especially Jack, despite the endless challenges. So for Jack to say that, and for Liam to do nothing, felt like a gut punch. It was as if they were both telling me, in no uncertain terms, that I was never truly part of their family. In my pain and frustration, I decided to uninvite both Jack and Liam for my wedding. My fiancé has been nothing but supportive of my decision, but my parents are furious. They've made it clear that if Jack and Liam aren't invited, they won't attend either. It feels like history is repeating itself, with my parents once again prioritizing Jack over me, no matter how much it hurts me. I'm absolutely heartbroken that my parents would choose to miss my wedding rather than support me in this. I know Jack has been through a lot, but I've done everything I can to be there for him and for Liam, despite all the heartache. And now, I feel like I'm the one being punished for finally standing up for myself and setting some boundaries. Am I the a-hole for uninviting my brothers after they said they don't see me as family, even if it means my parents won't come to my wedding? Now for the top comments. Jack is being an a-hole. Your parents are following suit. Just tell them you are having an a-hole free wedding because you are only inviting people who care about you and your fiancé, not the a-hole. A-hole free wedding. I like that. Not the a-hole. You are absolutely not the a-hole here. Your brother's actions, especially Jack's blatant disregard for your feelings, were incredibly hurtful. You have the right to set boundaries and decide who you want at your wedding, especially when those people don't consider you family. I'm also so confused by the logic. If OP isn't Jack's brother, then OP's parents are not his parents either. Like, how are they not hurt as well? I think in their minds, OP is not related to the brothers or the parents. When the parents adopted the two boys, they emotionally unadopted their bio son. Damn, that's just wild. But also apparently reinforced by OP's parenting practices. Oof, sorry OP. Not the a-hole. Of course you only want family and friends there to celebrate your joy. If Jack, or Liam, doesn't identify as either of those things, then why would he be invited? Congratulations on the wedding. Hope you have a fantastic time without all that baggage. Last story. Am I the a-hole for exploding at my family after they made my mother the center of attention at my wife's baby shower as a prank? My mom and I have been no contact since my wedding a year and a half ago. It is a sad situation, but my wife is my priority and my mom detests her. There is no path forward. My wife is currently pregnant and her family hosted a beautiful baby shower. It was on my mom's birthday, but I didn't think anything of it as it wasn't like she would attend anyway. My wife has been trying to keep up contact with the rest of my family so that I have some family support. And so my mom knows she didn't win, so everyone was invited except my mom. The day of the shower, my aunts showed up with my mom blindfolded. My mom went along as she thought it was a surprise party for her birthday, and then when she opened her eyes, they were like, "Surprise, you are going to have a grandson." My mom immediately told them to F off and left, but everyone was looking. My wife was mortified. My mom's husband had asked them to distract her because he was getting her surprise ready, and I guess they thought that was a prank. I immediately reached out to the family to find out what the heck happened. My mom has kind of a dark sense of humor, and I guess they really thought she would find that funny, but she didn't, and her husband tore them new a-holes. I admit I lost it. I called them all evil people and said if I saw any of them again, I'd get a restraining order. I said they proved they think my son's existence is a joke, so no one needs to meet him. Not the a-hole. Your reaction was completely justified given the situation. What your aunts did was incredibly inappropriate and disrespectful, not just to your mom but especially to your wife, and the occasion meant to celebrate your soon-to-arrive child. The fact that they thought it was funny to bring your mom, who is clearly not on good terms with your wife, to the baby shower was a massive overstep and showed a complete lack of consideration for everyone involved. You were right to stand up for your wife and your future son. This wasn't just a harmless prank, it was a cruel and thoughtless act that disrupted a significant moment for your family. Your strong reaction sent a clear message that you won't tolerate this kind of behavior, especially when it involves your child. Setting boundaries with people who think this kind of behavior is okay is crucial for protecting your family's well-being. You're not in the wrong for wanting to keep your family safe from further emotional harm, and if that means cutting ties with those who don't respect you, your wife, or your future child, then so be it. Obviously not the a-hole, but I've got to say, it makes me so happy to see more and more people standing up to their family. I hate the stupid, but they're family, or you can't pick your family, or blood is thicker than water BS. If someone in your life is toxic, cut them out regardless of who they are. Not the a-hole. First, as a father of two, I applaud your reaction. Your family deserves to be left out of your lives for their behavior. Second, while I know your wife probably means well, I would take the time to talk about letting you manage to contact with them. They obviously don't respect her, and it's unlikely they ever will. She also needs to remember that she only has a few years of experience with them while you have an entire lifetime. You are the expert, and it would probably be a lot less stressful for her, especially while pregnant, to let you manage the relationship entirely going forward. I speak from a voice of experience here. My wife also pushed me to stay in contact with my family. It almost cost my marriage at one point. You're already standing up to them, but now you need to get her to accept that you might understand them better than she does.